Chevrolet. Together, let's drive.
First tonight, this man, Dennis Meade, arrested by Springboro police over the weekend for being accused of impersonating a police officer. But it's the moments leading up to that arrest that are shocking people.
Lydia Bice sat down with the victims in the case, and they're sharing their story with us tonight.
On June 15th, a mother, father, and their 2 young children were driving on I-75 when this man, Dennis Meade, attempted to hit their car and then turned on police lights that we now know are fake. It was also later discovered that he had a loaded gun, fake police badge, and more concerning items in his vehicle.
I asked him if it was a cop because I would have pulled over. If it wasn't for him, I would have pulled over.
And then what'd you say?
It's like, he don't have red and blue. It was red and something else. It was just, it wasn't red and blue, and I was like, I'm not stopping.
The responding Springboro police officer found a .40 caliber pistol, police lights in the windshield, headlights and tail lights, handcuffs, a notepad with license plate numbers and addresses written on it, traffic cones, and more. Luckily, the family is safe tonight, and remember, you can always call 911 to confirm whether or not a traffic stop is real. Meade is out of the Montgomery County Jail on bond, but is due back in Miamisburg Municipal Court on June 26th at 9 a.m. Back to you.
Well, a Riverside woman, the one behind me right now, behind bars, accused of shooting a man. That shooting happened just a little after 4:30 this morning on Old Troy Pike. Police say that victim was shot in the neck. We know he's unable to speak right now, but is in stable condition. So 37-year-old Nicole Lee Hill was arrested, faces charges of aggravated assault. Police now investigating what led up to the shooting.
A 17-year-old girl now facing some serious charges tonight after deputies say she had a relationship with federal prisoners. Chelsea Sick sat down with the Butler County Sheriff about the investigation.
I've been doing this for 48 years, and when people want to do things, they do them.
Butler County Sheriff Richard Jones says a 17-year-old girl was serving as a jail intern when an inappropriate relationship began between her and 2 federal prisoners. The incident report says she admitted to bringing drugs into the facility and a cell phone. Was she under supervision the entire time
Yes.
she was in the jail?
Yes.
So how was that able to be brought in? And
They wait for you to turn their back. Unless you're holding their hand, it happens.
Inmates Willie Attaway and Larkin McGowan were placed at the jail by the U.S. Marshals. Jail documents say the inmates called the teen's cell phone numerous times to discuss bringing drugs to the jail. Sheriff Jones says inmates and their parents sign paperwork before the internship starts.
They sign a document. They're told they can't bring drugs into a facility. You can't have sex with prisoners.
Is it believed that she also had sex with those inmates?
I'm not going to discuss that right now. She said some things, and then she said some other things. And
Deputies arrested her back in March. Sheriff Jones says they immediately reported it.
we notified her family. We notified the vocational school, and the Marshal Service was notified also.
In a statement, the U.S. Marshal's Office says it learned of the alleged relationship from an investigative journalist just last week. The statement said in part, quote, upon learning of these allegations, the U.S. Marshal's Service immediately notified the proper authorities who have the jurisdiction to investigate matters such as this. They couldn't comment further because it's an ongoing investigation. The Sheriff's Office says the Marshal's Office was contacted, but it wasn't sent up their chain of command. Jail records show inmates received a jail disciplinary notice accused of participating in an act that threatens the security of the facility, staff, inmates, or visitors.
That was Chelsea Sick reporting. Now, Sheriff Jones says the investigation is ongoing. He says they've been in touch with leaders at Butler Tech and they plan to keep the internship program going. The Sheriff's Office is also conducting an internal investigation into the incident.
Well, the other big story really for the entire week has been the heat. We have a heat advisory still in effect tonight. Got extended too, it looks like.
Yeah, now includes Saturday. So rest of this week, heat advisory in effect until 8 p.m. on Saturday. Heat and humidity sticking with us. Next few days, the biggest difference we're going to have is more sunshine. So that's going to make the heat just a little bit more impactful. So keep that in mind. Heat advisory in effect until 8 p.m. on Saturday. Anticipating heat indices near 100 these next 3 days. Currently, it is just a very warm and muggy evening. So we're sitting at 83 Dayton, 81 in Troy, 83 in Sydney. Dew points all in the 70s, so it is very sticky out there. 74 dew point in Troy. When it's in the 70s, 81 in Lebanon. It is just feeling soupy, like you're wearing the air as you step outside. Hidden disease, it still feels like 90 in Troy at this hour. So just like a sauna, if you step outside, some of our cooler spots have been rain cooled from precipitation that we saw earlier today. So for tonight, skies will be partly cloudy, a little bit clearer than we have been. So we'll drop just a couple more degrees in the mid 70s. We got our southerly wind, fairly calm, only around 5 miles per hour. So it's just going to be a very steamy evening. Coming up, I'll have a look at the rest of the week and what we're expecting into this weekend.
We are following breaking news out of the Kings Island Mason area, obviously, tonight. Now, you're taking a look at a Twitter feed right now. We do have a statement from Kings Island we got just moments ago saying approximately 8 o'clock tonight, a guest entered a restricted fenced-in area of the Banshee roller coaster and is believed to have been struck by the ride. Now, they do say that the park safety and first aid personnel responded immediately and contacted local emergency responders. The guest was transported to University of Cincinnati Medical Center. At this point, the ride remains closed while everyone is investigating. Kings Island, of course, giving another statement tonight saying the focus continues to be on the welfare of the guest and his family. There's no additional information to share at this time. Again, we are following this breaking news out of Mason tonight. As soon as we get any other update, we of course will share it with you on our air, but also at Dayton247now.com.
Well, going back to the heat now, many communities across the area are opening cooling centers to help people get out of it. In Montgomery County, all of Dayton's recreation centers will be open. You can go to the Greater Dayton location off West 3rd Street, Low-Rye on Glenarm Avenue, or Northwest on Princeton Drive. Clark County, the Salvation Army off of South Plum Street will be open today. You can also go to the new Carlisle Library that's located off of East Lake Avenue. And we got a full list on our website. Just go to Dayton247now.com.
Well, Juneteenth celebrations are now over, and the city of Kettering celebrated the African-American culture on this historic day. Jenna Lee Bork was at tonight's event.
The community came together today on a day so meaningful in America's history. There were live performances and Black-owned businesses for people to experience. I spoke with Kettering's community development manager, who says one misconception is that this holiday is only a holiday for African Americans to celebrate.
People think that Juneteenth is only a celebration for African Americans, and it's a celebration of all America. It is American history.
The city of Kettering put on a Juneteenth event at the Phrase on Wednesday. African American culture was celebrated, but the history of the day was reflected upon. Many people think the Emancipation Proclamation signed by President Lincoln in 1863 was the end of slavery, but it wasn't until those who were enslaved in Galveston, Texas, learned of their freedom in 1865 that slavery was in fact over.
So one of the reasons that this date is so significant is because unlike today's age, when you can find out any news in seconds, it took 2 years plus for this last group of enslaved individuals to learn that they were free.
Kettering's celebration included live music. A reggae funk band kept the crowd jamming, while a Christian hip-hop group hyped up the atmosphere. Food trucks and other vendors were there for people to enjoy, many of them Black-owned. I found out from some of the Love Locks experiment what's so special about being a part of this celebration.
I come from a culture that was rich in celebrating Black culture, African American culture. So to see the world acknowledge something that I was outcast for as a child is a beautiful thing.
To see it like widely celebrated is something new since I've been living in Dayton. So to be a part of that, ushering in that new way of celebrating and just being a staple with it every year is like it's very special. Yes.
And it goes back to our heritage, you know, and the ancestors and things, and we recognize them also.
This is the second year that the event has been held at the Phrase. I was told that it's grown every year, and the city hopes that continues. Back to you.
Well, and if you couldn't make it out to tonight's event, there's more celebrations taking place. Tomorrow, there's a Juneteenth scavenger hunt from 12:30 to 1:30 at the Dayton Metro Library in Trotwood. On a Saturday, there's a few places you can go to, including the 4th annual Juneteenth Festival at the Arena on Salem Avenue. And on Sunday, St. Clair Community College is hosting a freedom celebration from 3:30 to 5:30. Got the full list, Dayton247now.com.
A local pancake house celebrating a grand reopening at a brand new location tomorrow, where they're going to be moving to and the story behind the location change.
Plus, I'm tracking that heat continuing on, as well as the humidity. How much longer it will last, that's coming up. Here's a live look from our Eco Plumber Skycam. You're watching Dayton 24/7 now.
Here's what I know.
To try before you buy. Don't wait. Call or visit today.
Legacy Pancake House is now preparing to reopen its doors at a brand new location in just a matter of hours. Now, the restaurant is going to be holding its grand reopening tomorrow morning at 7 a.m. in West Carrollton. You may remember their original location caught fire back in October of last year, and the building was considered a total loss. But a few months later, the owners then bought the former Holly's Home Cooking building between East Central Avenue and East Dixie Drive. So their hours are now going to be from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Wednesday through Saturday, 7 to 3 on Sundays and Mondays, and then they're going to be closed on Tuesdays.
Well, beautiful sunset this evening for the night before summer, as we are going to be looking at that heat and humidity continuing for our first day of summer. But that heat and humidity definitely made for some interesting clouds. I like this time lapse here because you can see how those cumulus clouds start to grow in the evening, and then they settle down once the sun sets, once we lose some of that daytime heating. But again, taking a look at that loop here, when it's this time of the year and when it gets this hot and humid, we often get those cumulus clouds to continue to grow and potentially form a shower or a storm. Not quite the case in the Dayton area, although to the northwest, when there was a little bit more clearing, a little bit more sun, they did have some of those showers and storms pop up for our northwestern counties. That will all dissipate overnight, and we just have a warm and muggy evening, warm and muggy day on the way for our Thursday. And with some clearing in place and a little bit more sunshine, it is going to feel even hotter out in the sun, a little bit more impactful. So keep that in mind. Same thing with our Friday, even into our Saturday. High temperatures climbing up into those upper 90s, which will be close to records both Friday and Saturday. So it is going to be sunnier, and temperatures are going to be climbing even more until next week. We finally do have a little relief, even though still very warm, in the 80s next week.
South Texas facing heavy rain and flooding as Tropical Storm Alberto moves up the coast, or the Gulf rather, of Mexico. It's the first named storm of this year's hurricane season.
It's definitely worse than I expected, or I'd have been gone, you know. So I should have been more prepared. And, you know, it's not even a hurricane.
Now, the National Weather Service says rainfall amounts of 5 to 10 inches are possible across northeast Mexico and into southern Texas. Forecasters also predicting moderate coastal flooding along the Texas coast through tomorrow.
Well, the Senate approved a bill to create more nuclear power in the U.S. The Advance Act will make it easier, faster, and even less expensive to build nuclear reactors. By cutting fees and speeding up approval times, it encourages production of small nuclear reactors to be built. The Advance Act is now just waiting on President Biden's signature once it crosses his desk.
Well, Baltimore attorneys are asking a federal judge to bar the Dolly ship crew members from returning home, all amid ongoing investigations. Now, attorneys say the near 24 members should stay in the U.S. for legal action into what caused the deadly collapse of the bridge. Court filings show at least 8 members are scheduled to leave the ship to return to their home countries tomorrow. The members haven't been able to leave that ship since colliding with the bridge back in March.
U.S. Staff Sergeant Gordon Black is set to serve 3 years and 9 months in a Russian prison. A Russian judge sentenced the soldier for stealing and then threatening murder. U.S. officials and Russian authorities say Black flew to Russia to see his girlfriend. He was then arrested last month after he was accused of stealing. Black did not have clearance as a member of the military to visit the country.
Israel and Iran-backed militant group Hezbollah are slowly moving toward a wider war. The Israeli military says it has approved plans for an assault inside Lebanon if the larger conflict breaks out. Now, Hezbollah also revealed drone video of sensitive sites inside Israel. U.S. intelligence experts say it's best to end this sooner rather than later.
For some reason, Iran gives the go-ahead to Hezbollah to continue the kind of assaults we've seen over these last few weeks. Then I think there really is a chance for continuing war in the Middle East.
Now, both sides have exchanged fire since Hamas's assault last October. If another war breaks out, Israel will be facing 2 fronts, Hamas in the south and Hezbollah in the north.
A live look now from our Eco Plumber Sky Cam over the Beaver Creek area. Let's send it out to Chief Meteorologist Natalie Walters.
Well, it is definitely sticky out here as you step outside. Especially when you come out from the AC, you notice a difference. It is steamy, and it's going to stay steamy this evening. Dew points, they're hanging out in the 70s, so it's just this warm, kind of stagnant, muggy air in place for this evening. But we do have a little relief on the way. Tomorrow's still pretty humid, but we also will be looking at temperatures that eventually go back down into the 80s as we head into the longer term. But lesser humidity in the forecast expected through the end of the week. I'll have a look at our 7-day coming up.
World War II replica planes arrived today to give very special rides just ahead of the air show weekend. Now the story behind those rides next.
You're watching Dayton 24/7 now.
Take Dayton 24.
Lawyers at Elk & Elk. Call 1-800-ELK-OHIO.
Well, there is nothing better than the sound of the U.S. and Navy Blue Angels. The CenterPoint Energy Dayton Air Show presented by Kroger, just a little more than 2 days away, and the headliners are now in town. The U.S. Navy Blue Angels touched down at the Dayton International Airport earlier today, but of course they had to give the people a sneak peek of this weekend's tricks. Check it out. Get yourselves ready. Of course, gates open at 9 a.m. sharp this Saturday and Sunday, and flying starts at 11:15.
And as we inch closer to Air Show weekend, more and more aircrafts have been flying in to join the excitement, courtesy of the organization's Dream Flights and Legacy Flights, a couple of World War II replica planes. They arrived to give very special rides. Eli Brigette caught up with them.
Well, the nonprofit organizations Legacy Flights and Dream Flights have been giving active service members and veterans the thrill of a lifetime. How do they pull this off? By giving them free rides in a Boeing Stearman biplane and a North American AT-6, both models of World War II trainers.
And it's more than just a plane flight. It's showing them the appreciation. It's doing something unique that they don't think they can do again. It's the connection that we make. And I've just seen it have a profound impact on hundreds of people.
In 2011, when Daryl Fisher was flying his father's biplane from Mississippi to Oregon, he decided to make a few stops along the way to give some local veterans a quick ride. 13 years and thousands of flights later, Fisher is still giving veterans a thrill to remember. The flights were such a success that Fisher wanted to give active service members that same thrill. That's how Legacy Flights was born. In September, the two organizations will reach over 7,000 flights successfully flown. Both the Boeing Stearman biplane